Gamers, it's that time of year where I put together my top 100 games of all time. I'm not going to go through all of them on video here, but I did want to go through my top 10 favorite games of all time. They have stayed pretty consistent year to year over at least the last couple of years, but there's always a little bit of fluctuation, kind of depending on what I played a little bit more of or less of. But if you do want to see the full top 100 list, you can go to my blog, and it is up now, and then you can see everything from 11 to 100. But for now, we'll get into the top 10. So if anyone knows anything about me, it's that I do not like trick-taking games. But my number 10 is 4 in Northwood, which is a solo trick-taking game. I think that this kind of does trick-taking in more of a puzzly way, kind of a bit of push your luck as you're trying to get just the right number of tricks for each of the different fiefs and hit that target score. So I think it's a really relaxing game. I think that it just works really well, and it is by far the only trick-taking game that you can get me to play. So I think it is a really great solo experience, which is why it comes in as my number 10. Now, something that I do like a lot is deck building games, and the only deck builder in my top 10 is Cowboy Bebop Space Serenade. I think that it has a really strong theme, but funnily enough, the first time I had played this game, I hadn't even watched Cowboy Bebop, but then after playing the game, I did go and watch the show, and I think that it does the theme really, really well. I think that everything works really well with the show. If you're a fan of one, you might be a fan of the other, but I think that you can create some really great combos with how the cards work, where if you play a certain color, you get some bonuses on different cards, and I think that you can really feel your deck getting stronger and stronger the more that you get different cards into your deck. I also just like how you can kind of talk to people, or you can fight them, and there's different consequences for which path you choose to take with the cards that you're buying. Overall, I think it's just really cohesive. I like it at all the different player counts. It plays 2 to 4, and it just, like I said, it just feels like you are kind of a bounty hunter hopping from planet to planet. I really like how the characters interact with each other, and I think it has really nice miniatures, which I did get around to painting, so that's also a bonus for me. My number 8 is one of my earliest hobby game plays, which is Sagrada. I think this one is such a pretty game. The dice are gorgeous. I think that it's another very puzzly game. You're following all the different ways to score. You're following the pattern that's on your window board. And I just think that even when you have to deal with all the luck of rolling the different dice and dealing with drafting and maybe somebody stealing exactly the die that you want it, there's little ways to mitigate that with the tool cards, but overall, I just think that it's a really fun experience. Every single time I play it, I'm always happy that I played it. I'm always excited to pick it up again. I just really like everything that it does. And I say that strictly about the base game. I'm really not a huge fan of some of the expansions. Some are okay. I haven't played all of them, even though I do have all of them. I do like some of the different solo objectives that you can have with the boards. Instead of having to get certain colors on your window board, you can get certain placement and count up the pips that way. I think those are really fun. But a lot of the other things I think just kind of overdo Sagrada. Like, I don't like the 5-6 player expansion. I really just like the base game by itself, and I'll play that over and over and over again. I think especially with some of the window promos, there's a lot of variety in there as well for how many different windows that there are. And kind of, I really also like how you can tailor your strategy to the window that you get, because you can get a harder one, and you get a lot of those little glass beads that you can use the different tools that are out, or you can get an easier one, and then maybe you don't even need to use the tools because you can just kind of put dice wherever you want. Overall, it's a little restrictive, it's a little puzzly, but I think that it works really, really well. Coming in at number 7 is Micro Macro Crime City. This is a little bit of a deduction, seek and find, kind of Where's Waldo gamified, if you ask me. The starter scenarios are pretty easy, I think, but as you really get into them, you are going to be scouring that map to try and find all the different pieces of all the different crimes that you need to solve. And I think that this works really well. At first glance, it didn't look like something I was going to love because that map is huge. There's a lot of tiny details, and it's all black and white, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to be for me, but I really adore this game. I've played all of the different boxes that there are, and I also, at PAX this year, bought the kids version to see how that compares, just because I wanted more of this game. I think that it is just so interesting to find all the different pieces of the scenarios that you're going over and see how far back you can really track people. I've had to add in cubes or other like little pieces in order to follow people all the way through, because sometimes you will go from the far edges of the map in order to follow somebody's entire story. And I really do like that there is so much story in this. Like, you don't kind of, again, at first glance seem like it'll have a lot of that, but as you're following those characters and kind of going through the cards for each case, you really are following a huge story, which I think is really cool. And sometimes in the later boxes, you even have stories that kind of carry over scene to scene, which I think is also really, really interesting. Overall, works really well, but I definitely, for myself, recommend it with only 1 or 2 people, because even though the map is huge, you're going to be kind of overlapping all different pieces of the map, so it's a little bit easier to kind of maneuver when you only have a couple of people doing it. And coming in at number 6 is Flamecraft. This is a worker placement kind of set collection, contract completion game with a little bit of a modular board, because all of the different locations that you're going to be moving to will change a little bit every game and come out randomly, aside from the starter ones, but extra ones will come out randomly, so you're never really sure what additional actions you're going to get throughout the game. I really like playing this game, being a little dragon, moving from shop to shop to collect the things that I need to do enchantments, and like I said, the game board changes every time, which I think keeps the game really fresh. And I like how the worker placement moves, that you can go to any spot that you want. You might have to pay somebody in order to go to a spot that they're already at, which can be really, really difficult to do if you're short on resources, but it's nice too when people come to you and have to give you things in order to go to your spot. Overall, I just think that moving around the board works. I like the variety in locations, and I also just adore the little dragon miniatures, which I've also painted. I think that this is another really relaxing game. I just really like being able to kind of do my own thing, go to all the locations. The enchantments are in the center of the table, so that is a little bit of player interaction there. People might take the enchantments that you're trying to work on, or they might even take the artisan dragons that are in the center that you might want to collect in order to put them out at locations and do their abilities, things like that. So there is definitely some player interaction, but overall, I just kind of like going to all the different locations and being able to collect my stuff and kind of do my own thing. I have a lot of fun with that overall. But yeah, my number 6 is Flamecraft. Y'all know I love a spooky game, so there should be no surprise. Number 5 is Monsters on Board. If you also know me, you know that I love a multiplayer solitaire game, so this one for me works so well. You're rolling those dice at the beginning of each round and drafting them around the table, but I find that no matter what I get, I'm pretty happy with it, especially early in the game, because I'm not too restricted on my board of what I can kind of take and use. I love being able to take those dice and then kind of do my own thing. I'm going to move all of my people as I need to. I'm going to take my different actions and see what kind of works the best for me according to maybe my my card to fill in my board, or just according to what actions I happen to need that round. Everything, like I said, is very multiplayer solitaire, but I really like that about this game. I think that it just works really well where no one can interact with my board. But there is a little bit of player interaction still, because you are going to be taking the cards and the ghosts from the center of the table, and somebody definitely might scoop up what you want. It's happened to me lots and lots of times. And if they do that, you gotta readjust and just take something else. But overall, I love that people can't interact with my board, and I'm kind of set in what I'm doing. And I think that the little bit of player interaction there is there works really well. And I really just like watching what other people are doing. You might have a little bit of hate drafting going on with those dice if you're not really sure what die you need, but you know the next player needs blue. You might take that and make sure that you can lock them out of that. But otherwise, I think that everything kind of is really restricted to your board and how you use what you're given for those dice and what you get for those cards. So I think that all the different pieces of this game work really well. It's got a super cute theme. I really love it as well. Do wish that the miniatures were a little bit smaller so they fit on the board a little bit better, but otherwise, I think this one's really solid, and that's why it's my number 5. My number 4 is another one that has been in my collection for quite some time, and that is Space. I have everything in the bigger box, because I do have a lot of different stuff in this game. This box is so heavy. But I love rolling dice and being able to get really good combos. You're kind of chanting on every single person's turn saying, oh, I hope you roll a 7, I hope you roll a 9, whatever you need for your board, not really caring what they're going to get out of it. You just hope that everybody rolls what you need. And then, of course, in your own turn, you're hoping the same thing. I love being able to kind of pack one of the slots with tons of different cards, hoping for that one huge payoff. I like trying all different strategies for this. I do love filling in my whole board so that I get something no matter what's rolled. but having those really big ones where you can have huge swings is also really satisfying. I have seen somebody win with the You Win card, which is crazy. I've seen people win with so many extra points just because of how everything timed out. I've seen people win because they were just able to get a lot of those colony cards, which lock your board up. So usually I wouldn't think that's a really good strategy, but if you can get them, you don't need to get other things on people's turns. You just need to be able to get enough points faster than the next person. There are so many different ways that you can play this game. There's so many different strategies for this game. It's another one where I don't love all of the expansions. I really, really like the base game how it is. A lot of this expansions do like a campaign thing, which is kind of cool the first time. But then after that, it's okay. You can add it. I can take it or leave it personally. But the base game itself, I just think is really, really solid. And I love everything about it. And that's why it comes in at number 4. Another fun fact about me is that I love an escape room, but I don't go to them in person very often. So I like having an escape room in a box. Unlock is one of the ones that uses an app in order to be able to kind of do all the things that you need to do. You'll do random machines in the app where you'll have to like put in codes and things like that. You'll have to scan cards sometimes. You'll have some really interactive things where you'll have to do a lot of different things with your phone or tablet or whatever device you're using. With the cards, you'll have to combine cards in order to make new cards come out of the deck. Tons of different things. I've seen a lot of different like unique things happen in a lot of these decks because there are so many of them, and I do have them all. And I think that it just works really well. I think for me, it gives me 100% that escape room vibe without having to go to an actual escape room. So I really, really like that about it. Sometimes it's a little bit trickier than others. I have gotten stuck on some of them. I have had things in the app not kind of go the way that it was clearly intended to go. And I have seen some typos which can make or break some of the story or some of the different kind of intention behind what cards were supposed to say. So sometimes that can get a little bit tricky, but overall, I do think that the game is incredibly solid and I have a really, really good time pretty much every time I play it. Again, with so many different varieties of it, some are definitely better hits than others. Some are a little bit more boring or more just not really for me, but overall the system itself of Unlock is top tier for me, and if you're going to play an escape room, this is the one that I would recommend. My number 2 is a game that I feel like I've played a lot at like the end of a game night or just to kind of round out the time before someone has to head out, and that is of course Similo. I have, again, all the different decks for this because it's something that I really, really enjoy. I think it can be really tricky to kind of communicate to your team, hey, like this card that I want you to guess is not like this, or it is very much like this, but that's all you can say is it's similar or it's not similar. And it's sometimes really difficult because depending on which one you're playing, especially, people will look at the strangest things sometimes. The board game ones I find are actually some of the hardest, even when you're playing with gamers. I'll put out a card thinking, oh, both of the boxes have animals on the cover, so that one is easy. And then people will look at like the fine print and say, okay, well, this game is 120 minutes and this one's only 10 minutes, so they're nothing alike. And I think that that's what I really like about this game is that you can see how many different interpretations of the cards that there can be. And again, that's no matter what set you're playing, really. You can put out myths or you can put out spooky things, fables or aquatic animals. No matter what you put out, people will have reasons for why they think they are similar or they are different than the next thing. And I just think that's really interesting to kind of see how people work. I do really like this one with a small group, maybe 3 to 4 people. I think that having people be able to discuss what the clue giver is trying to put out there and just kind of put all their ideas out is really fun. And as the clue giver, which is what I really like to do most of all, is it's fun to listen to what people are saying about the cards. Like I said, if people are saying like, oh, I'm going to be looking at the player count or the time on the board games, then sometimes it's good to listen to that and say, okay, well now I'm going to kind of gear my clues toward what people are saying. And sometimes you're not going to get it and it's a little disappointing, but since it's such a small and quick game, I usually, if we lose, set it back up right away. And then that way you can kind of play again, hopefully get a win in, and it feels really good, really satisfying to be able to do that kind of communication without communicating kind of thing. And that's why it comes in at my number 2. And finally, at number 1 is the big guns, Marvel United. This is by far my favorite game. Basically, anytime somebody tells me to pick a game, this is what I'm going to pick. I want to play this all the time. I think it has great variety in all the different characters because, yes, I do have all of it. And I just think that even if you don't only have like a box or two, all the different characters work so interestingly together if you have different combinations of them. I think that just, everything comes down to the shuffle when you really think about it. A villain might be a little bit harder or easier depending on how those cards kind of come out. But I think that there is a lot of planning in how you're going to play your cards, how you're going to really prioritize the kind of threats that you do or what kind of missions that you're going to do for that round. And I think that there is definitely, like I said, a lot of strategy in that and working together cooperatively. I love all the characters. I love trying all the different characters. I still haven't played them all. And just finding the new villains to fight and who kind of pairs well together as a team, who kind of pairs well together against certain villains. I think all those just almost endless combinations work so well for me, and that's why I want to keep coming back to it, because I want to just try every combination, which I know that I will never do because there's so much stuff. Another game that I've painted all of, which was absolutely a labor of love. I definitely would not have painted all of this if I didn't love this game. It has really great table presence, maybe also because of the painted miniatures, but I think it's just really fun to work together and really come to an epic win. And it's another game that I think I also like because it's not that long, so if I do lose, it's not that hard to grab a different hero or play the same ones and just reset it up really quick and play it again. But for me, I would play this game like 10 times in a row and I wouldn't even complain. And that's obviously why it comes in at my number one. But that is my entire list, my whole top 10 games for this year. Like I said, if you want to see the full top 100, you can check it out on my blog today. And otherwise, just keep an eye on the blog, keep an eye on the YouTube, keep an eye on the social media so you can see all the different reviews and unboxings and other things that I'm putting out. And thanks so much for watching.